The rescue shuttles from the unyielding Sol crossed the empty space between the two ships. They were small and fast, moving with perfect precision. Captain Hannah watched them approach through the observation deck window. She had heard many stories about humans. Everyone in the galaxy had. They were called Deathworlders because they came from Earth, a planet so dangerous that most species could not survive there for even one day. Extreme temperatures, deadly predators, poisonous plants, and violent weather. Earth was a nightmare world. And yet, humans had conquered it. Now Hannah was about to meet these legendary beings face to face. The first shuttle docked with the Bright Hope. Hannah walked to the airlock to greet them, followed by Tyke and several crew members. Her heart was beating fast. She did not know what to expect. The airlock doors opened. A team of humans stepped through. They wore military uniforms with many pockets and strange devices attached to their belts. Their skin colors varied from light to dark. Their hair was black and brown and even red. They looked so different from each other, yet they all moved as one unit. At the front of the team was a woman. She was not tall by human standards, but she carried herself with absolute confidence. Her black hair was cut short, and her dark eyes scanned everything with sharp intelligence. She stopped in front of Hannah and spoke in perfect Volari. "Captain Hannah? I am Commander Yuna. It is good to meet you." Hannah bowed her head respectfully. "Commander Yuna, my people and I owe you our lives. I do not know how to thank you." Yuna smiled. It was a warm expression that changed her whole face. "No thanks needed. We were passing through this sector when we picked up your distress signal. We could not ignore it." Tyke stepped forward, unable to contain his curiosity. "Commander, how did you destroy those Kren ships so easily? I have never seen weapons like that." Yuna's smile became a little sharper. "The Kren thought they were hunters. They forgot that there are bigger predators in the universe." More humans entered the ship. Medical teams carrying equipment. Engineers with tools. Soldiers with weapons ready, though they kept them pointed at the floor. They spread through the Bright Hope like a well-organized army. A human doctor named Junho approached Captain Hannah. He was a young man with kind eyes and gentle hands. "Captain, we need to see your wounded immediately. We have medicine and supplies that can help." Hannah nodded quickly. "Dr. Suho will show you to the medical bay. Please, help them." Junho and his team followed Suho through the corridors. The Volari patients stared at the humans with a mixture of fear and wonder. They had never seen beings like this before. Junho knelt beside an elderly Volari female who was having trouble breathing. He scanned her with a small device and nodded to himself. "Fluid in the lungs," he said to his team. "Probably from stress and poor air quality. I can fix this." He pulled out a small tool and pressed it against the elderly female's chest. There was a soft hum, and suddenly she could breathe easily again. Her eyes went wide with amazement. What did you do?" she asked. Junho smiled gently. "Just cleared your lungs. You will feel much better now." Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out. Human engineers worked alongside Tyke and Yumbi to repair critical systems. They moved quickly and efficiently, fixing in minutes what would have taken the Volari hours. Yumbi watched a human engineer named Minseo rewire the life support system. His hands moved so fast she could barely follow them. "How do you know so much about our technology?" she asked. Minseo looked up and grinned. "We study everything. Human curiosity is unstoppable. Besides, most basic systems work on similar principles." In the main hall, the Volari families were being given food and water from the human supplies. Children who had been crying with hunger now ate eagerly. Parents who had not slept in days finally allowed themselves to rest. Little Dohan approached a human soldier standing guard near the entrance. The soldier was a tall man named Ji-hoon. He had a serious face and carried a large weapon on his back. Do-hun looked up at him without fear. Children never seemed to fear humans the way adults did. "Are you a human?" Do-hun asked. Ji-hoon looked down at the small Volari child. His serious expression softened. "Yes, I am. My grandmother says humans are angels." Ji-hoon let out a short laugh. It was the first time he had smiled in hours. "We are not angels, little one. Just people who do not like bullies." Do-hun thought about this for a moment. "The Kren are bullies?" "The biggest bullies in this part of space." "And you beat them up?" Ji-hoon nodded seriously. "We beat them up very badly." Do-hun smiled widely. "I like you." Old Minji came and collected Do-hun, apologizing to the soldier. But Ji-hoon just waved his hand kindly. "He is a good boy. Brave. He will grow up strong." Commander Yuna walked through the ship with Captain Hana. They inspected the damage together and discussed what needed to be done. "Your ship took heavy damage before we arrived," Yuna observed. "What happened?" Hana sighed sadly. "We fled from our home system 3 weeks ago. The Kren attacked without warning. We managed to escape, but our engines were damaged in the fight. We have been drifting ever since." Yuna's eyes hardened. "The Kren have been more aggressive lately. They think no one will stop them. Can anyone stop them?" Hana asked quietly. "They have conquered so many worlds, destroyed so many species." Yuna stopped walking and turned to face Hana directly. Her voice was calm but carried a weight of absolute certainty. "Captain, in Earth's history, we have faced many threats. Natural disasters, plagues, wars, predators. Every time, someone said humanity would fall. Every time, we proved them wrong. The Kren are just another challenge. They will learn what happens when they threaten innocent lives." Hana stared at this human woman with new understanding. She had heard the stories, but now she truly believed them. Humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, protectors. Something deep in their nature refused to accept defeat. "Commander," Hana said slowly, "may I ask you something personal?" "Of course. Why did you save us?" "Humans do not know the Volari. We have no trade agreements, no political connections. We have nothing to offer you." Yuna was silent for a moment. Then she answered simply, "Because it was the right thing to do. On Earth, we have a saying. The measure of a person is not how they treat their friends. It is how they treat strangers who cannot help them in return." Hana felt tears forming again. She had led her people through despair and terror. She had watched them prepare to die. And now this stranger from a distant world had saved them all simply because it was right. "Your species," Hana whispered, "is remarkable." Yuna shook her head. "We are just human. Nothing more, nothing less." But Hana knew that was not true. Humans were something special, something the galaxy had never seen before. And she suspected the universe would never be the same because of them. As repairs continued and the wounded were treated, the Volari began to relax. For the first time in weeks, they felt safe, protected, cared for, and watching over them. The unyielding soul floated in the darkness like a guardian spirit. The battle was over, but the story was just beginning. 3 days had passed since the rescue. The Bright Hope was repaired enough to travel again. The human engineers had worked around the clock to fix the engines, the shields, and the life support systems. Now the old ship hummed with new energy. Captain Hana stood on the observation deck one last time. Through the window, she could see the unyielding soul floating beside them. The massive human warship had stayed with them the entire time, protecting them from any other threats. Tyke walked up and stood beside her. He looked different now. The exhaustion was still there, but something else had replaced the despair in his eyes. Hope. The engines are ready, he said. We can leave whenever you give the order. Hannah nodded slowly. And our people? All healthy. Dr. Jinho did incredible work. He saved 14 Volari who would have died without proper treatment. Hannah smiled softly. The humans gave us more than just rescue. They gave us our future back. The communication system beeped. It was Commander Yuna requesting to speak with the captain. Hannah accepted the call. Captain Hana, Yuna's voice filled the observation deck. We will escort you to the neutral zone. From there, you can reach Volari-allied space safely. Our ships cannot enter that sector without causing political problems. We understand, Commander. We can never repay what you have done for us. There was a pause. Then Yuna spoke again, her voice warm. You can repay us by living well. Build new homes. Raise your children in peace. That is all we ask. Hannah felt her throat tighten. We will, I promise. Safe travels, Captain. May your stars always shine bright. The communication ended. Hannah turned to Tyke. Give the order. Let us go home. The Bright Hope's engines powered up. The ship began to move, slowly at first, then faster. The unyielding soul moved alongside them, matching their speed perfectly. Throughout the ship, the Volari watched through windows and screens. They saw the human warship beside them, a giant guardian in the darkness. Many of them cried. Some prayed. Others simply stared in silent gratitude. Little Dohung pressed his face against a window in the main hall. Look, grandmother. The humans are flying with us. Old Minji stood beside him, her wrinkled hand on his shoulder. Yes, child. They are protecting us until we are safe. Will I ever see them again? Minji thought about this question. She did not know the answer, but she knew something else. Perhaps not these humans, she said gently. But humans are everywhere now, spreading across the stars. Building, exploring, helping. Wherever you go, child, you might find them. Dawan smiled. Good. I want to tell them thank you. In the medical bay, Dr. Suho was organizing the supplies the humans had given them. Nurse Himan helped him count the medicine bottles. These medications, Suho said quietly. Some of them do not even exist in Volari science. They are decades ahead of us. Himan looked at a small device that could heal broken bones in minutes. How did they advance so quickly? Humans only discovered space travel a few hundred years ago. Suho shook his head in wonder. I do not know, but I am very glad they did. In the engine room, Yumbi was studying the repairs the human engineers had made. The work was beautiful, clean, efficient. Every wire and circuit was placed perfectly. Engineer Minseo had left her a small gift before departing. It was a data chip containing human engineering manuals. A note attached said simply, knowledge should be shared. Learn well. Yumbi held the chip tightly. She would study it every day. She would become a better engineer because of what the humans had taught her. The two ships traveled together for 2 more days. They passed through dangerous space, but nothing attacked them. Word had spread quickly through the sector. The humans were escorting a refugee vessel. Anyone who attacked would face the unyielding soldat. No one was that foolish. Finally, they reached the border of the neutral zone. The unyielding soul slowed down. The Bright Hope continued forward. Commander Yuna sent one last message. It was broadcast to everyone on the Volari ship. People of the Bright Hope, this is Commander Yuna. We must leave you now, but you will not be forgotten. We have sent messages to the Volari fleet. They know you are coming. A rescue convoy will meet you in 12 hours. Cheers erupted throughout the ship. Real rescue. Volari ships. They were truly going home. Yuna continued. Remember this day. Remember that you are survivors. Remember that even in the darkest moments, when all hope seems lost, Help can come from unexpected places. The universe is vast and often cruel, but it is also full of friends you have not met yet. There was a brief pause. Then Yuna's voice became softer, more personal. When you reach your new home, build something beautiful. Plant gardens. Raise families. Sing songs and tell stories. Live the lives that the Kren tried to take from you. That is how you truly defeat them. Not with weapons, but with joy. Captain Hana wiped tears from her eyes. She pressed the communication button to respond. Commander Yuna, your words will be remembered for generations. The Valari will never forget what humanity did for us this day. We will tell our children about the ship that came from the void. The guardians from Earth, the ones who asked for nothing and gave everything. Thank you, Captain. It was our honor. The unyielding soul began to turn away. Its massive hull caught the light of distant stars, glowing like a giant silver beast. Duhan watched from his window. They are leaving, he said sadly. Old Minji nodded. Yes, but they will always be with us. In here, she touched his chest, right where his heart was. The human warship grew smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny dot of light. Then it jumped into hyperspace and vanished completely. The Bright Hope continued alone, but it did not feel alone anymore. 12 hours later, just as Yuna had promised, Valari rescue ships appeared. They were beautiful vessels with bright blue markings. The survivors cried with happiness as their people finally came for them. But even as they boarded the rescue ships, they kept looking back at the stars, looking for that shape in the darkness. That guardian from Earth. Years later, Captain Hana wrote a book about her experience. It became famous throughout Valari space. It was called The Angels from Earth. Tyke returned to engineering and trained hundreds of new students. He always told them the story of the humans who fixed the Bright Hope. Dr. Suho opened a hospital on a new Valari colony world. He used the techniques the human doctor had taught him to save countless lives. Little Doan grew up to be a diplomat. He spent his life building connections between species. And every time he met a human, he would say the same thing. When I was a child, your people saved my life. I have been trying to repay that debt ever since. The humans always smiled and said the same thing back. There is no debt. We did what anyone should do. But the Valari knew the truth. Not everyone would do what the humans did. Not everyone would risk their lives for strangers. Not everyone would fight against evil simply because it was. Right. Humanity was special, different, blessed, or cursed with something that other species did not have. A fire that refused to die. A heart that could not ignore. Suffering. A spirit that said no to darkness and meant it. Legend of the unyielding soul spread across the galaxy. It became one of thousands of stories about human heroism. In cantinas and council chambers, in schools and homes, beings of every species whispered about the Deathworlders who had become guardians. And somewhere in the vastness of space, Commander Yuna and her crew continued their journey. They did not seek glory. They did not want monuments. They simply moved through the stars, doing what humans had always done, surviving, fighting, protecting being human, and the universe was better for it. The Kren warships moved into attack formation. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. The commander of the lead ship watched the Valari vessel on his screen and smiled. His sharp teeth gleamed in the red light of his bridge. "Begin the harvest," he ordered. On the Bright Hope, alarms screamed throughout the ship. Jisu's voice came through every speaker. "All hands, brace for impact. Kren ships are firing." Captain Hana stood on the bridge, watching the enemy approach. Her crew worked around her, doing everything they could to keep the shields alive for a few more minutes. But everyone knew it was useless. Taek stood beside her. "Captain, It has been an honor serving with you." Hana looked at him and nodded. "The honor was mine, old friend." The first Kren energy blast hit the shields. The whole ship shook violently. People screamed in the hallways. Children cried for their parents. Shields at 40%. Jisoo shouted. Another blast. The lights went out for a moment, then came back dimmer than before. Shields at 20%. Hana gripped the railing in front of her. This was it. In seconds, the shields would fail. The Kren would board their ship. And then, she did not want to think about what would happen then. Suddenly, something strange appeared on the sensors. Jisoo leaned forward, staring at her screen with wide eyes. "Captain, I am detecting something. A massive energy signature. It is right behind us." Double quotes. Hana turned. "What?" "Show me." The main screen flickered and changed. Everyone on the bridge froze. Space itself was tearing open. A rift appeared in the darkness, like a wound in reality. Lightning danced around its edges. Colors that had no name swirled inside it. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Then, from the rift, a ship emerged. No, not a ship. A monster. It was enormous, bigger than anything Hana had ever seen. Its hull was dark gray, covered in weapons and armor. Strange symbols were painted on its sides, symbols that Hana did not recognize. The ship moved with a speed and grace that seemed impossible for something so large. The Kren commander saw it too. His smile disappeared. "What is that?" he demanded. "Identify that vessel." His crew worked frantically at their stations. Finally, one of them turned with fear in his eyes. "Commander, it is a human warship." The word hit the Kren bridge like a physical blow. Human. The word every species in the galaxy whispered with fear. The Deathworlders. The mad apes from that cursed planet called Earth. The human ship stopped between the Kren fleet and the Bright Hope. It floated there like a guardian, blocking the path of the hunters. On the Bright Hope. Hana could not believe what she was seeing. Humans? What are humans doing here? Tyke shook his head slowly. His face was pale. "I do not know, Captain. But I think they came to help us." A new voice suddenly filled the bridge of the Bright Hope. It was strong and clear, speaking in perfect Valari language. "Attention Kren warships. This is Commander Yuna of United Earth Navy vessel Unyielding Soul. You are attacking innocent civilians. You will withdraw immediately. This is your only warning." Hana felt her legs grow weak. She grabbed the railing to keep from falling. A human. A real human was talking to them. The Kren commander's voice came through next. He was trying to sound brave, but Hana could hear the fear underneath. "Human vessel, this is not your concern. These Valari are our prey. Leave now, or we will destroy you." There was a pause. Then Commander Yuna spoke again. Her voice was calm, almost bored. "You have made your choice. Remember this moment, Kren. You brought this upon yourselves." The Kren commander laughed nervously. "You are one ship against 3. You cannot possibly." The human ship fired. There was no warning. No charging of weapons. Just a single blinding flash of light. A beam of pure energy crossed the distance in an instant and hit the lead. Kren warship. The Kren vessel exploded. It did not just break apart. It vaporized. One moment it was there, and the next it was nothing but atoms floating in space. The other 2 Kren ships stopped moving. Their crews stared at their screens in shock. Their commander had just died. Their strongest warship had been destroyed in a single shot. On the Bright Hope, complete silence fell over the bridge. No one could speak. No one could move. They had just watched a Kren battleship disappear like it was made of paper. Jisoo was the first to find her voice. "Captain, Did that really just happen? Hannah nodded slowly. Her heart was pounding in her chest. Yes, it did. Tyke let out a laugh. It was a wild, disbelieving sound. The stories are true. Everything they say about humans. It is all true. The remaining Kren ships tried to run. Their engines powered up, and they began to turn away. But the unyielding soul was faster. The human ship moved like lightning. It cut through space with impossible speed, blocking the escape route. More weapons fired. Bright beams and missiles filled the darkness. Another Kren ship exploded. Then another dot in less than 2 minutes. All 3 Kren warships were gone. Nothing remained but floating debris and expanding clouds of gas. The unyielding soul slowed down and turned back toward the bright hope. Its weapons powered down. A soft light appeared along its hull, almost like a greeting. Commander Yuna's voice came through again. This time, it was gentler. Valari vessel Bright Hope, this is Commander Yuna. The threat has been eliminated. Are you in need of assistance? Hannah tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. She was crying. She did not even realize it until she felt the tears on her face. Jisoo pressed the communication button for her. Human vessel, yes, we need help. Our ship is badly damaged. We have wounded. We have children. Please help us. There was warmth in Commander Yuna's response. Do not worry. We are sending rescue teams now. Everything will be all right. You are safe. Safe. That single word spread through the Bright Hope like fire. People who had been preparing to die now fell to their knees and wept with joy. Parents held their children and laughed through their tears. Elders raised their hands to the sky and thanked every god they could name. In the engine room, Yumbi grabbed Tyke and hugged him tightly. We are going to live. We are going to live. In the medical bay, Dr. Suho stopped working and sat down heavily. His hands were shaking. Nurse Hyman stood beside him, unable to stop smiling. In the main hall, old Minji held little Dohon in her arms. Did you hear that, little one? We are safe now. The humans saved us. Dohon looked up at her with confused eyes. What are humans, grandmother? Minji laughed softly. It was the first real laugh she had made in days. They are angels, child. Angels from a world called Earth. On the bridge, Captain Hana finally found her voice. She pressed the communication button with trembling fingers. Commander Yuna, thank you. Thank you for saving us. We thought no one was coming. Yuna's response was simple but powerful. We are human. We do not leave innocent people to die. Not today. Not ever. Hana closed her eyes and let the tears flow freely. Outside the window, the massive human warship floated silently in space. Its weapons were quiet now, but everyone who saw it knew the truth. The galaxy had many predators, many hunters, many monsters, but somewhere among the stars, there was also humanity, and they were watching. The hours passed slowly on the Bright Hope. Each minute felt like a lifetime. The lights grew dimmer as power drained from the dying ship. The air recyclers struggled to work, making the corridors feel thick and heavy. Taek sat in the engine room, surrounded by broken machines. His tools lay scattered on the floor. He had tried everything. He had rewired systems, replaced parts, and pushed the old engines beyond their limits. Nothing worked. The ship was too damaged. He put his head in his hands and let out a long breath. 50 years he had worked on starships. 50 years of fixing problems and finding solutions. But this time, there was no solution to find. A young engineer named Yumbi approached him carefully. She was his best student, smart and quick to learn. Now she looked at him with eyes full of fear. Chief Tyke, she said softly. What do we do now? Tyke looked up at her. He wanted to give her hope. He wanted to tell her everything would be fine. But he could not lie anymore. "We pray," he said simply. "That is all we can do." Yumbi's lower lip trembled. She was trying hard not to cry. "My sister is on this ship. She has a baby. The baby is only 3 months old." Tyke stood up and put his hand on her shoulder. "I know. I am sorry." Yumbi broke down then. She cried into her hands, her whole body shaking. Tyke held her like a father would hold a daughter. He had no words of comfort. There were no words left in the medical bay. Dr. Suho worked without stopping. More and more Volari were becoming sick. Some had panic attacks. Others could not eat or sleep. A few had simply given up and lay in their beds, staring at nothing. Suho injected medicine into an old male's arm. The medicine would help him stay calm. But calm did not mean safe. Calm just meant he would not feel so afraid when the end came. A nurse named Himen helped Suho move patients. She was young and strong, but even she was showing signs of exhaustion. "Doctor," she said quietly, "we are almost out of sedatives." Suho nodded. "I know. Use them only for the worst cases. And when they are completely gone?" Suho did not answer. He just moved to the next patient. Himen watched him work. She admired his strength. Even now, when everything was falling apart, he refused to stop. He refused to give up on his patients. But she could see the truth in his eyes. He had given up on himself, in the main hall. The mood had changed. Earlier, people had tried to stay positive. They had talked and shared meals. Now, silence filled the space like a heavy fog. Families huddled together in small groups. Some whispered prayers. Others just held each other tightly. A mother sang a soft lullaby to her crying baby. The song was about bright stars and safe journeys. The words seemed cruel now. Old Minji still sat with the children. She told them stories about brave heroes and happy endings. The children listened with wide eyes, believing every word. They did not understand what was happening. They did not know about the Kren ships outside. Minji kept her voice steady, but inside she was breaking. She had lived a long life. She had seen many things. But she had never imagined dying like this, helpless and far from home. A young boy named Dohan tugged at her sleeve. "Grandmother Minji, are we going to the new planet today?" Minji smiled at him. It took all her strength to make that smile look real. "Not today, little one. But soon. Very soon." Dohan nodded happily. He did not notice the tears forming in her old eyes. Captain Hana had not moved from the observation deck. She stood like a statue, watching the darkness outside. The Kren ships had moved closer. They were done waiting. Soon, they would attack. Her communication device beeped. It was Jisoo from the bridge. "Captain, the Kren are sending a message." Hannah closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them again. "Put it through." A harsh voice filled the observation deck. It was the Kren commander. His words were translated by the ship's computer, but the cruelty in his tone needed no translation. "Volari vessel, your time is over. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick. Resist, and you will suffer for days. Choose." Hannah felt cold anger rise in her chest. The Kren always gave this choice. But it was not really a choice. Quick death or slow death. That was all they offered. She pressed the button to respond. Her voice was calm and strong. "This is Captain Hana of the Bright Hope. We will not surrender. We will never surrender to monsters like you." The Kren commander laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping against stone. "Brave words from a dying species. We will enjoy breaking you, Captain. All of you." The communication ended. Hana stood in silence. She knew what she had done. She had made the Kren angry. They would be even more cruel now. But she could not bring herself to surrender. She could not hand her people over to those beasts. If they were going to die, they would die with dignity. She walked back to the main hall. The people looked up at her with desperate eyes. They wanted hope. They wanted their captain to save them. Hannah climbed onto a small platform so everyone could see her. She looked at their faces, one by one. The children, the elders, the young parents, the sick, the scared. My people, she said, I will not lie to you. The situation is very bad. The Kren will attack soon. Our ship cannot run or fight. Cries of fear rose from the crowd. Some people began to sob. Hannah raised her hand for silence. But I want you to know something. I am proud of every single one of you. We are Volari. We do not beg. We do not break. We face our fate with courage. Old Minji stood up slowly. Her voice was shaky but clear. We are with you, Captain. Whatever happens. Others began to stand. They nodded. They held hands. In that moment, fear became something else. Not hope exactly, but acceptance. Strength. Taek pushed through the crowd and stood beside Hannah. Captain, the shields will fail in 2 hours. Hannah nodded. Then we have 2 hours. Let us use them well. She stepped down from the platform and began walking among her people. She touched their hands. She spoke gentle words. She held crying babies and comforted frightened children. Outside, the Kren ships powered up their weapons. The hunters were ready. Inside, the Volari prepared to meet their end. No, one was coming to save them. That was what they believed. But space is vast and full of surprises. And somewhere in the darkness, something was moving toward them. Something the Kren had never faced before. Something human. The ship was dying. Captain Hannah knew this better than anyone else on board. She stood at the command center and watched the lights flicker above her head. The power was running out. The engines had stopped working 2 days ago. Now they were just floating in the cold darkness of space. Around her, the crew worked in silence. They pressed buttons and checked screens, but everyone knew the truth. There was nothing left to do. The ship was broken, and help was not coming. Hannah was a Volari. Her people were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They were peaceful beings who had lived among the stars for thousands of years. They were traders and teachers, not fighters. And now, because of that, they were going to die. She looked at the main screen. 3 Kren warships floated in the distance. They were waiting. The Kren were patient hunters. They knew the Volari ship had nowhere to go. They could take their time. The door behind Hannah opened with a soft sound. She turned and saw Taek walking toward her. He was the chief engineer, an older Volari with tired eyes and rough hands from years of fixing machines. Captain, he said quietly, the shields will last maybe 6 more hours. After that, he did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Hannah nodded slowly. Thank you, Taek. Keep doing what you can. Taek stood there for a moment. He wanted to say something more, but the words would not come. Finally, he just lowered his head and walked away. Hannah turned back to the screen. The Kren ships had not moved. They never did. They just waited and watched, like wolves circling a wounded animal. The Volari ship was called the Bright Hope. It was a passenger vessel, not a military ship. 300 Volari were on board. Most of them were families running away from the war. There were children. There were elders. There were young couples who had dreamed of starting new lives on distant planets. Now, those dreams were dying along with the ship. Hannah walked to the communication station. A young Volari named Jisoo sat there, her fingers moving over the controls. She was barely an adult, but she had volunteered to help when the crisis began. Any response to our distress signal? Hannah asked. Jisoo shook her head. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. "Nothing, Captain. I have been sending the signal for 3 days. No one has answered." Hannah put her hand on Jisu's shoulder. "Keep trying." "Yes, Captain." But they both knew it was useless. The Volari fleet was far away, fighting a losing battle against the Kren Empire. No one was coming to save them. No one even knew they were here. Hannah walked through the ship. She wanted to see her people one more time. She wanted to remember their faces. In the main hall, families sat together on the floor. Children played quiet games while their parents watched with hollow eyes. An old female named Minji was telling stories to a group of young ones. Her voice was soft and gentle, but Hannah could see her hands shaking. "Captain Hannah." A small child ran up to her. His name was Dawn, and he was only 5 years old. "When are we going to land on the new planet? My mother said there would be trees there. I have never seen a real tree." Hannah felt her heart break. She knelt down and looked at the boy. "Soon?" she said softly. "Very soon?" Dohan smiled and ran back to his mother. The mother looked at Hannah with knowing eyes. She understood the truth. But she said nothing. Hannah continued walking. She passed the medical bay, where Dr. Suho was treating the sick. Many Volari had become ill from stress and fear. Suho did his best, but he was running out of medicine. "How are they?" Hannah asked. Suho looked at her with exhausted eyes. "Alive, for now." That was all anyone could say anymore. For now. Hannah reached the observation deck at the back of the ship. The large window showed the endless darkness of space. Stars twinkled in the distance, beautiful and cold. A dead moon floated nearby, gray and lifeless. She stood there alone, looking at the emptiness. She thought about her home world, now destroyed by the Kren. She thought about her family, killed in the first attacks. She thought about all the lives depending on her now, and she thought about how she had failed them all. A tear rolled down her blue cheek. She did not wipe it away. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Tyke had followed her. "Captain," he said, "the crew wants to know what to do." Hannah did not turn around. "Tell them to rest. Spend time with their families. Tell them." She paused. "Tell them I am proud of them." Tyke was quiet for a long moment. "And what about you, Captain?" "I will stay here. I will watch." "Watch for what?" Hannah finally turned to face him. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was strong. "For a miracle, even if one never comes." Tyke nodded slowly. He understood. Hope was all they had left, even if it was foolish. He left her alone on the observation deck. Hannah turned back to the window. The Kren ships were still there, dark shapes against the stars. In a few hours, they would attack. They would board the Bright Hope and take everyone prisoner. The Kren did not kill quickly. They enjoyed suffering. They fed on fear. Hannah had heard stories about what happened to Kren prisoners. She did not want to think about it. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer to the old gods. She did not really believe in them anymore, but it felt right to try. "Please," she said into the darkness, "if anyone is listening, please help us." The stars did not answer. The ship continued to drift, and the Kren continued to wait. On the lower decks, children fell asleep in their parents' arms. Elders spoke quietly about the old days. Couples held hands and said nothing, because there was nothing left to say. The Bright Hope floated in the void, alone and forgotten. No rescue was coming, or so they believed.